Welcome, my name's Milo, and today on the stream I'm going to be playing the 3D Battles of WorldRunner, also known as 3D WorldRunner, 1987 Square game. I'm of course playing the American release, because it's in English. This was for the NES. The original Japanese release was actually for the Famicom Disk System and was known as Tobidase Daisakusen, which means jump out, great strategy. Title works better in English. Or, sorry, well, that particular title works a lot better in Japanese. But the Tobidase in the title is a clue to like one of the technological gimmicks of the game. Animal Crossing New Leaf for the 3DS actually had the same subtitle for the same reason, because it was in 3D. Yeah, I won't actually be using it, but the game originally came with anaglyph, red-blue separation 3D glasses, and if you press select at any time, it'll separate the colors so that if you wear these glasses, it'll give the illusion of depth. So that's interesting. But the reason I'm playing it today is sort of follow up to last week, where for an International Women's Day adjacent stream, I was sort of celebrating, recognizing the work of women in the video game industry. In this case, this is the work of Kazuko Shibuya, who, if you know about old school Final Fantasy team, was very important in the development of those early games. But before that, she worked at Square on a number of titles, including 3D WorldRunner and Rad Racer, which had similar kind of gimmicks. Yes, indeed. Gibbon says there is he loves the small subset of Famicom games that support anaglyph 3D. And we'll talk more about that as we go on, but let's just jump into it. There's not much in the way of an attract mode, so, you know, let's play. Alright, so we're in Solar System 517, and I've seen people bump into these pillars. Oh, okay. And you get pickups, but is it the pickup killing me, or is it bumping into the pillar a second time? Unclear. I just want to get the hang of this to start with. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, some things you can knock into like that, and they bump you back. Some things are enemies that just kill you. But yeah, this, as you might be able to tell, this is sort of, you could call it a Space Harrier clone, but with more of a focus on platforming, as we can see there. Whoa, whoa man, that's a great jump. Okay, apparently I haven't got the gun yet, so I can't shoot. The manual told me I could shoot, but I can't yet. Hold on a second, I forgot to set this up. Yeah, so there will be shooting later. But at the moment it's just platforming in 3D! And even in 3D visuals if you have your glasses. Oh, we're getting some packages, okay. Yeah, so it's Solar System 517 and the evil Grax and his serpent beasts have attacked and we have to stop them somehow. Given says he's getting vibes from this of Sonic Blue Spheres, which, yeah, good call, actually. Hang on, what was that? A star. I'd like a star. Don't know what it does, but gimme. Oh, a balloon. Right, this is a warp. It'll take me to a bonus. Yep. Oh. Ah. Nice different music track here. Whoop. Missed that. Oh. Bump. Ooh, an extra life. Whoa, that's big. Well, Minna should like the box. She's sleeping right now, though. Anyway, I do want to show you one little thing, which is where you pause, and your character sits on the ground, gets comfy, has a few little idle animations. This character is known as Jumpin' Jack. That was actually the beta title of the game. No, not Grax from Starlink. Well, maybe it's the same guy. Let's headcanon that one, sure. Yeah, Jumpin' Jack was the original English title of the game before they settled on Tobidase Daisakusen. It's reflected in the sequel's title, the Japan exclusive sequel called JJ, Tobidase Daisakusen Part 2, where the JJ starts for stands for jump and jack. Yeah, so the jumping is important to the character, clearly. And yeah, all the graphics in the game are done by Kazuko Shibuya. Let's talk about her a bit more as we continue here. So, she started working as an animator in the 80s. Ooh, boy. But decided that after a while she was getting bored of it and wanted to move on. And she got an offer from Square, and yeah, moved over there full time. And just in those early days, apparently people did all sorts of different things, moved around on projects, whatever needed doing. Her first role was doing the manual illustrations for some game. I didn't write it down, apparently. And yeah, she worked on a couple other things before this too, but this might be one of the more prominent early things she was working on, at least pre-Final Fantasy, because that kind of took over prominence at the company and in her career specifically. Those mushrooms gotta be something. I could check the manual, but I don't want to right now. So yeah, in those days it was small teams, but the people who worked on this game, you might recognize some of their names. So Hironobu Sakaguchi is the director. Nobuo Uematsu is doing the music. Who was the other one? The producer, something... Takashi, I didn't write it down. But the programmer here is Nasir Gabelli, who was sort of a superstar programmer out of Iran who moved to America and then got picked up by Square. He's responsible for the 3D effects here in terms of, the graphics and stuff. Although I suppose he also would have programmed the 3D, how do I describe it? Because it's got 3D gameplay, but it's also got the not stereoscopic, but yeah, the red-blue separation 3D visuals, right? Anyway, Gabelli, he's well-known at the time, and... Oh, here we go. Okay, so it's become literally just Space Harrier at this point. They've given me the gun, and I can move freely in space, and yeah, it's Space Harrier. Space Harrier is extremely influential. Very popular game for Sega in arcades. They did ports to all kinds of platforms, and they contracted ports as well. It got a port on the Famicom, which is kind of infamous for being kind of slow and flickery and just didn't make the transition too well. So this is kind of a response to that, and it seems to have turned out better than the official, Space Harrier port that Sega put out. Even though they do, change up the gameplay a bit with some of these things in this game. So these names I'm mentioning here, Sakaguchi, Gabelli, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right either because it's Iranian, and Shibuya herself as well. They all are the same team that went on to then do Final Fantasy immediately after working on... Well, they did the sequel after that, although I can't find information on whether Shibuya herself worked on the sequel to this. I'll launch that after I'm done with this and show you a little bit of what it looks like, because they go for a very different art style. And I have no doubt that Shibuya is capable of that kind of art style, but it doesn't match up too well with what we've got here in the first game with this very cartoony style. Oh, the hands are stopping me. Can I jump over them? Yes, but they'll attempt to intercept me. That's interesting. They're trying to wear down my energy bar or whatever that is in the middle. Fuel? If I was in a vehicle, it would be, but I'm just running, so I guess it's my hunger meter or something. And I get a snack every time I finish a level. Sure, let's go with that. Oh, okay, there's a pathway where the hands don't follow you, and in this case the stars are showing me that pathway. Yeah, we should see Grax at the end, given, hopefully. Or at least a serpent beast. No, wait, I guess the thing we already fought was a serpent beast, sure. But yeah, that whole dragon made up of segments like that, that's a very Space Harrier thing. That's ripped directly from from the Sega game. I wonder if he's in the manual, actually. There we go. Got our refill. We almost didn't make it. I better start save stating if this gets much harder. I know there's 8 worlds in total, and I want to get through them all but I do have a couple other things to show off today. Other attempts at replicating the Space Harrier formula on different platforms. And they're interesting in their own ways, but this one, yeah, pretty fascinating stuff. As an early Square game, before they'd found their niche as RPG makers, it's kind of part of this little experimental time that they were going through as a company. Oops. Yeah, don't worry about the save stating and the rewinding. That's just so we don't spend too much time here today repeating the same stuff. So here we have a different kind of serpent beast, I guess. Looks kind of robotic. Kaboom! But we take care of it without too much trouble. I wonder what the stars do. Maybe I should read the manual more thoroughly. This might be a good time for that. I'm not going to get an idle animation, am I, if I'm in midair? Okay, help me square US division. Oh, there's names for all the enemies. Little round things with eyes are menacing meanies. We've seen some robot heads, Towering Inferno, Handman, and this is indeed a serpent beast. Let me see. Star. Catch as many of these as you can. They're worth extra points. Fantastic. There's also an invincibility thing that looks like, what is it? The space jump from Metroid? It's like a planet with double rings. And some other stuff. Maybe we'll get those later. Okay. Back to it. Kaboom. Oops. Yeah, we can only take one hit. We can't even see the gun, actually, but if you look on the cover artwork for... I think both versions have the guy, Jumpin' Jack here, clutching a gun. Of course, the Japanese version on the right that you can see leans into the cutesy aesthetic. It's actually really nice. The style of it, it's almost like claymation. But they... Oh, what's this? This is a power-up I just read about in the manual. Okay, it automatically gives you a high jump. That's nice. Oh, and I can accelerate, by the way. I've been doing that sporadically. You need to make it over some of these gaps. But actually, it looks like we have to go ordinary speed here to get the right distance. Yeah. Well, I guess I'll just continue as I am. I could put down the controller right now. Oops, nope. Yeah, so to clear some of the big gaps, you do need to hold up to go faster and jump higher. But yeah, for, you know, a primitive Famicom NES game, I think the 3D effect is really cool, and that's in this game it looks good, and that's testament to the skills of Nasia Gabelli, of course, along with the work of Kazuko Shibuya in doing the graphics that have different levels of scale as you approach them, and of course the designs, which are by her as well, have a fun atmosphere to them. Alright. So this level has a very different feel, where we just have to time our jumps to get over a huge abyss. Yeah, Gibbon agrees that he loves how this looks. Yeah, it's really cool stuff. And for Nobuo Uematsu, this kind of music is not what I'm familiar with him for Final Fantasy style stuff. I don't understand why the music stopped. Oh, it stopped because I was low on energy, I guess. Interesting. But it hasn't started again. What's going on there? Okay, well, we'll just enjoy the hopping and bopping. Should I get the balloon? Yeah, I guess it's more content. See what the bonus stages look like. Yeah, the backgrounds are very surreal, which is in keeping with the inspiration, of course. Space Harrier is known for that kind of thing as well. Oh, pillars aren't going to drop us an item now, apparently. But yeah, the whole checkerboard floor thing, that was in Space Harrier, and as Gibbon noted, in the Sonic 3 bonus stages as well. It helps to give you the sense of 3D movement when your, you know, graphics are limited. So they're all doing it for the same reason. Okay, we got our music back. Nice little jingle. Cool. Oh, I moved too quickly. Yeah, let's go. Oh, oh no. See, I didn't push up at all during that jump, and I didn't get barely any movement out of it. Oh. Okay, it is hard to judge distances, of course, but that's really tripping me up here now. Ah, you can hold down to decelerate as well. Okay, good to know. Yeah, so about the career of Kazuko Shibuya, it's really interesting stuff how she got in there and how she was so central to these really important teams at the company, and yet she's not as big a name as Sakaguchi and, you know, others. Oh boy, okay. What was I going to say there? Oh yeah, what I was going to say was if you want to know more about Shibuya and what her work was like at the company in those early days, there's a really excellent interview with her on Shmuplations, and I'm going to link that in the description. But it's, yeah, it goes into all this stuff. It actually, you know, apparently she's not well known, and the early games didn't always have credit sequences and stuff. So this interview is sometimes the sole reason that we know that she worked on some of these games and what she did for them as well. Like, for instance, it was revealed in these interviews that she did all the UI menu graphics for the early Final Fantasy games, as well as doing sprite work, which is what people had previously known about. So let's talk about some of the other things she did there. Oh, actually, yeah, before getting into her other works, it's really interesting to read about like I was saying, the team working together, this small team in a tiny room, and Nasir Gabelli is there. They've, you know, poached him and getting him to work his wizardry with the computer stuff to, yeah, make really cool. Oh golly, these hands are not gonna lay off me, but we've got a little clue to jump between the fire pillars there. That's interesting. Yeah, so Gabelli's there. He's working part-time, like a few days a week. He doesn't speak very much Japanese at all. So yeah, it's really interesting thinking about how that would have worked in that environment. And so Shibuya talks about how she's there working with Gabelli on Rad Racer is what they're talking about, how the whole game is done without really much use of sprites. It's all sort of rendered on the fly, and so she's there walking him through what color each line is going to be as it moves along the screen. So yeah, it's really interesting how games, when they were pushing the technology in different ways, they had to invent new ways of making them work, and in this case it was the artist and the programmer working very closely together. And yeah, later on with Final Fantasy, she had to closely collaborate with concept artists like Yoshitaka Amano, who was drawing like character artwork and some of the monster artwork and designing the look of the games, you know. But it was up to her and others to implement that look into the game. So she was interpreting his drawings and making the sprites based on them, but also designing some of them herself. So she, you know, diligently studied Amano's style and worked to kind of replicate it with her own designs. So that's another thing that was not known to the interviewer, at least, of this Shmuplations piece, that, you know, she did sprite work on the game interpreting Amano's designs to pixel graphics, but she also did some of the monster designs herself, just aping his style. So yeah, it was a really collaborative process in those days. They talk about her going to the artist's house and going through all their drawings, bringing the concept art back to the company, but also discussing with the artist how things were going, and there's a lot of back and forth. She did a similar thing with the artist who worked on, what was it, Saga, I think, was the other big series she's been involved with, and that had a female concept artist in that case that she was then interpreting the art of, and they had different styles, but yeah. Another interesting story along those lines was when she did some work on Final Fantasy IX after a bit of a break from the series, which involved them sort of contacting her within the company and saying, hey, how do you want to go on a trip to New York and Hawaii tomorrow? Because Yoshitaka Amano is in New York at the time, and he's doing concept art for the game, so she flies over to see him, takes his artworks, brings them to the team creating the game, who are based in Hawaii. Yeah, and then helps out there. So yeah, she's had a really interesting career over the years. Yeah, Gibbons says that is fascinating. Amano is one of Gibbons' main inspirations when he was doing art school stuff. Yeah, I do know that. That's cool. Check out Gibbons' artwork. He's probably embarrassed of it. What was his name on DeviantArt? I wish I could remember to point you to Gibbons' work. It's an old name he hasn't used in ages, but yeah, Gibbons says that he'd love to know which ones she created. Check out the Shmuplations interview. It doesn't go into the detail of that, but I think there's at least one that they mention is hers, or possibly. Yeah, but I don't know. Well, there's a lot of art books for Final Fantasy. I wonder if they ever get into it. But maybe you'd have to work it out by process of elimination, because I know there's plenty of Yoshitaka Amano art books. He's very famous for this stuff, so maybe you could go in, and if it's comprehensive enough, see which ones he created, and then cancel those out, and yeah, see which ones that Shibuya made. I'm gonna skip that balloon because I don't mind really. I'm not concerned with points, and yeah, the bonus rooms do have different layouts and stuff. I'm just not in the mood for it right now. Yeah, that's a pretty tough suggestion, isn't it, Gibbon? Alright, these pills have got to be here for something. Okay, mushroom kills you. No power-ups. Okay, there's a lot of other power-ups in the game. Here's one. That's the Metroid thing I was telling you about. I think that makes me invincible. There's another, like, potion that... Oh, no? I guess it just ran out, actually, yeah. There's a potion that turns your hair red and does something. Yeah, there's a few other power-ups, but haven't seen many of them. I guess I'll try running into pillars more. If I see them... Here's one. Yep, so I'll get that again. I'll check the manual. So this power-up... Atomic power. This little atom-like morsel will also make you unstoppable, but its power too is temporary. Okay, so it makes me invincible. But the potion also makes me invincible. There's 2 different invincibility items. Great. So silly. Yeah, the only other one is a clock, which resets the timer to buy you more time. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, boom. Smash through that enemy. No problem. Seems like this is a kind of underwater themed zone. Those look like little mussels, clams or something. And there's definitely some kind of fluid happening in the background there. Somebody's pouring grape juice out onto a stack of pancakes. They kind of look like stromatolites. And you can see some like shell or seaweed type things. I don't know. Who knows? Oh yeah, that's right. Gibbon says that is straight up the Variasuit icon. Indeed, that's what I was thinking of. And there's my red-haired look, which means I'm invincible, and yet I still can't get through the hands, but we can jump over them. Oops. Man, the rewind goes so fast for NES games. Thank you, Retro Arch. Yeah. Yeah, so the little meanies can't touch me when I'm invincible in that state. Oh boy, okay. I jumped while I was still being pushed backwards. Didn't have quite enough momentum to make it. Yeah, the platforming is certainly getting more challenging. Tougher. Okay, cool. And the meanies kind of follow you for a little bit, don't they? Alright. Of course, your aim has to be good to match up with the pillars, otherwise you're in trouble. Oh, Gibbon says that she's not listed in the credits on Moby Games. No, that's right, that's what I was saying. These early games, they didn't have credits lists all the time, so they don't always know who officially worked on the game except for these interviews, but that doesn't feed back into Moby Games. Her name is Kazuko Shibuya. Kazuko Shibuya. And yeah. But yeah, in terms of her sort of taking on the style of Amano to create monster designs for Final Fantasy, she did a similar thing when she's done, you know, UI design, character design, sprite work and stuff, but also some background design. So she specifically contributed some of the backgrounds to one of the Dragon Quest Monsters games, and in that case they're all working off the template of Akira Toriyama. So she would go and study Dr. Slump and Dragon Ball and try and absorb the work of Toriyama to then replicate his style in order to make a background in that style. I said style too many times, but I couldn't think of an alternative word. So that was interesting. And that was at a time when later on she's higher up at the company. She's not doing as much of the grunt work like that all the time. But yeah, she's still working there today, actually, and still doing things from time to time. One of her recent jobs was character supervisor and sometime designer on Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, one of the mobile titles that Square Enix is doing for Final Fantasy. And specifically, she is listed on Moby Games, or I think Wikipedia, for this. Katy Perry had a guest character in Brave Exvius, and that character was designed by Shibuya. So yeah, that's just weird. It's just weird. Okay, so Gibbon is now looking up some of her her biography of work, and spoiling some of the surprises I was going to throw at him, like she was the graphics director on Blue Wing Blitz, a WonderSwan game that Gibbon is very enamored with, a turn-based strategy where it's all old-timey airplanes. So yeah, I'm glad you found that one. And yeah, tons of other Final Fantasy games and spin-offs indeed. And Terra Battle as well, Gibbon brings up, which I don't know what that is, but I saw that on the list as well. She also did the UI on Crystal Chronicles, which I know Gibbon's a fan of. The GameCube, Game Boy Advance Link game for Final Fantasy. Okay, boom. Right. While we're on the subject, I do have a list of things she did. Oh wow, New World. Weird brain jellyfish in the background and blob mountains. Lovely stuff. No pickups? Rude. Okay, never mind. Oh, excuse me? What's going on there? Huh. Maybe... I don't get it. There might be something... What? Okay, my other question is, how far does this screen go around before it loops, you know? Terra Battle is a mobile strategy type game from Mistwalker, which ran from 2014 to last year. That's right, I did see that, the Mistwalker game. So she did some contract work outside of Square Enix, apparently. If I understand the situation with Mistwalker. Alright, let's figure this out. Run, 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 jump. Don't get enough distance. So, what's the deal there? They're not giving me any pickups. What if I hit this? No, that's just a death. Oh, that's a cool scrolling effect, actually, with the background. I don't get this. What's going on? Well, I'll save state. Huh. I might have to look up a guide or something. Let's see what the manual has to say. I do want to tell you more about Shibuya. There's so much interesting stuff with her career. So the 8 worlds, we're in world 6 now. Aquo! An eerie underwater world. So this is the underwater world. Last world was Temero. You'll need impeccable timing to slip by the hands. There's got to be a power-up that'll help me, right? I'm sure I've checked all these pillars now. Unless I missed one earlier on. Although I don't think any of the power-ups actually will make you jump further. Not according to what I've been reading in the manual. And I've jumped between the pillars, which did not help. So let's jump in the gap. The larger gap. I don't get it. Oh, I have to look up a walkthrough, don't I? I'll be right back. Yes. And this one's supposed to be the easy one. The sequel really builds on this. It goes harder, it goes darker. Ugh, I get results for Super Mario 3D World because 3D World are in both names. Come on. Alright. Oh, apparently there's no space. I put a space in by mistake. The walkthrough. Level 6. You are now entering hell. Remember all those lives you accumulated? Kiss them goodbye. The only way to get across the first part of level 6 is to time your jumps just perfectly so you land on a platform and are able to jump across them. Oh my gosh. That is intense. Okay. Alright, this is what I need to do. Nope. I need to reach the very top of my jump and land on top of one of these pillars. That's insane. Okay. Hold up and then sort of adjust your momentum in air. Maybe I'll try and land on that third one. Oops. I don't like this. I don't like what they're demanding of you here. Okay, we'll try and land on the third one, yeah? Oh, but if you stop holding up, you just drop precipitously. So that's the key. I guess you don't have to press down. but if I rewind, I'll have to be keeping my hand on that up button. What? What? I don't think this is good design. It has been quite easy so far, and then to suddenly throw this at you. Those hands might have been annoying sometimes, but there was a way to get past them, you know. Come on. I'm sure that's the best I can do. Are you kidding me? Okay. Have I been the victim of a cruel prank? Yeah, like, come on, seriously. Excuse me. Hello? Really? Really? I want a second opinion. Try and find out the guide. A different guide. Maybe there's a question and answer section. Where is that? Q&A. Oh no, there's a second guide. Cool. Thanks, Game Facts. World 6. This is probably the most evil level ever created. The first pit is so monstrous that you cannot jump over it, and you do not have the help of spinners or anything to help you cross. What you need to do is use the tippy top of the pillars to jump on top of, from pillar to pillar, until you finally get across the monstrous pit. Expect to lose several lives trying to get across this pit if you've never done it before. This is the best strategy I have found. Bump into the first pole at regular speed, you'll bounce backward a bit, and then continue forward. As you're bouncing backward from the ricochet of this pole a little bit before you're about to start forward again, press and hold the A button to jump. Be sure to hold the A button down. If done correctly, you'll land on top of the pole and jump off the tippy top of it. Okay, let's try it. Aha! That was good. And then you keep holding down A to keep hopping. Alright, so there's a bit of a trick to it, I guess. Ah. Fire pillar, not good. Oops. Oh no, I've gotten out of sync. Okay, cool. Wow, we did it, people. We did it. I'm so glad. Oops. Oopsie. I made a boo-boo. Great. Well, that was traumatic. I might have got there eventually, but yeah, expecting a kid in the 80s to do that, that would have caused a few calls to the helpline, I'm sure. Cool. Alright, back to my notes, because I was just getting to Kazuko Shibuya's illustrious career. So, yes, after a few other early projects with Square, she was heavily involved with... Whoopsie. Excuse me? Alright, now what? What? Huh? I died by jumping off the top of the screen or something? Oh, I must have run out of energy. I took too much time earlier on. That's it. Seriously? Alright. So apparently what I need to do here is grab a clock, one of those clocks we learned about in the manual, And then we can jump on top of the fire pillars and they won't kill us, according to this guide. So save state there. Find that clock. There it is. Oh, thank God. Okay. So as long as I time the jump right, we should be just fine, right? Oh, good. Woof, look at that. This level truly is evil. What were they thinking? Uh-oh. Gotta make that hop and then hit up to accelerate. That is so evil, so demanding. And now the hands, oh my gosh. I don't think that this is very fair, to be honest. Come on, we're not in the arcades. We don't need to pull these kinds of tricks. Oh yeah, Gibbons suggested hopping on the fire pillars. Thank you. That was the solution. But I also needed to find the clock, or otherwise I was SOL. Simply out of lunch. Because my energy bar is my hunger meter, as we've established through our own imaginings. Alright, so this is more get the right path through the hands by picking the route through the fire pillars. Okay, so that was like a super hop thing. That flower really boosts you way up into the air. And it looks like your momentum is kind of fixed. I don't think I can speed up or slow down while hopping off the flower, but it also is apparently guaranteeing my death because... Oh, I can land on... Yeah, okay, that was another one. I thought I could try and land on top of that pillar, but my spacing was just off. Goodness me. This world really is hell. Alright, but I think I'm through the worst of it now, so let's talk about Shibuya and her other projects. So yeah, there were a few early things at Square, like I said. It was this and Rad Racer, two very much peas in a pod that used the 3D technology and stuff. Of course, Rad Racer, if you don't know, is a car racing game that Square did on the NES, just after this. But just before Final Fantasy, so that's where the bulk of her credits come from. So on the first game, she's heavily involved. She's doing things like monster design, spriting, graphics, and user interface, all sorts of the graphics stuff, including that iconic bridge scene. The first time after you've beaten Garland at the very start, you cross the bridge out of Corneria, and it suddenly cuts to a separate screen where you're looking out over a vista. Your characters are standing on the hillside, flapping in the breeze, their cloaks are. And it's extremely scenic and, yeah, one of these really impressive early things for an RPG on the Famicom. And that was all her. That was all Kazuko Shibuya doing that. Oh, okay, so there you go. The power potion, it gives you an extra hit. I think the manual is a little bit misleading about that. So the Varia suit from Metroid makes you invincible, and the power potion lets you survive one hit, I think, is how that worked just now. That's how I interpreted what happened. I may be wrong. I may be wrong. Yeah, so let me see. So after Final Fantasy 1, she did similar jobs on 2 and 3. And then she even worked on the SNES ones, 4, 5, and 6. Particularly, one of her main jobs with those ones was creating the chibi character graphics. So she was always doing sprite work on the chibi characters in the game, but the cover artwork for certain releases of particularly 5 and 6, I think for Japanese releases especially, they have this sort of character parade of all the playable party members in the game lined up in chibi style. And that's actually kind of an inspiration for my own style of pixel art and the way I arrange my graphics. Although clearly I don't have the talent of Kazuko Shibuya. Later in the interview, she goes into this really interesting explanation of her process where she imagines how the character is in her mind and turns them around in 3D space within her own imagination, and then uses that as a benchmark or a check to then draw the characters in all kinds of different poses. And she never reuses poses or draws over them for new characters. She always does it from scratch every time. This woman is amazing, people. Yeah, so after 6, she kind of went off the series. I guess she was working on Saga games more at that time. But she did come back for 9, as I said, ferrying artwork from Amano across the continental United States and across the Pacific Ocean to Hawaii. Yes. But she's also worked on other Final Fantasy like throwback kind of games, such as the mobile titles, before pre-smartphone mobile titles. I'm talking Final Fantasy IV: The After Years, which revisited the setting of 4 and brought back a lot of characters in the style of the old Pixel 16-bit games, as well as Final Fantasy Dimensions, which similarly had that style of game done for mobile phones episodically. It's been released since on WiiWare, and then I think there's been a smartphone release as well, but they're all using her artwork to do that. She also worked on the follow-up to that, Final Fantasy Dimensions 2, which originally it wasn't a direct follow-up, and it still isn't, but it was given the name Dimensions 2 later. Yeah, they completely retooled the game at a certain point, but that's a really fantastic game, a triumph of higher res pixel sprite work. And she says in the interview as well about how you get much higher res than that, then you're not really doing sprite work anymore. And that's also... I like Dimensions 2 a lot. It's kind of a follow-up to an unreleased installment in the Chrono Trigger series, Chrono Break, but they don't really like to talk about that. Yeah. Oh boy, not this again. Okay, cool. No more jumping on pillars for now, thank God. Yes. What else did she do then? There was another one. Hold on a second. It's in my notes. Yeah, I guess Brave Exvius was the other one, which similarly has high-res sprites. But yeah, it's really interesting. Final Fantasy is such a venerated and long-running series at this point, and whenever they do these kind of throwbacks and just remind us about how iconic that pixel artwork was. It's all thanks to her. She's the one who created that style, And of course, it was all based on Dragon Quest. The whole Final Fantasy series is a response to Dragon Quest from NX. But yeah, it reminded me when I've been playing recently Pixologica Final Fantasy, which is a kind of a proper Picross installment by Jupiter. But it was only released on Japanese 3DS. They did bring out a smartphone version later on, but it doesn't have the puzzles. It only has the battles. So yeah, it wasn't any good at all. But it got a ton of updates. And the thing about that game is that it's got characters from all across the series represented in that style. And it's not the only one to do it. I think All the Bravest does it as well, and like a bunch of other ones, Record Keeper. But it's reinterpreting characters from every era of the franchise in that Kazuko Shibuya style. So her influence is still being felt with new games, even all these years later, And I really love the style of the characters in Pixologica. As far as I know, she wasn't involved with that one specifically, but it's definitely riffing on her, the style that she originated, clearly. Yeah, it's really cool stuff. And of course, the mobile version got a lot more updates and had a lot more characters in that style. And you can see a lot of them on Final Fantasy Wiki these days. Yeah, that was my point there. So this beast, serpent beast or whatever, has a lion head apparently. And again, all the graphics here are also done by Kazuko Shibuya. She's capable of A lot of range in her artwork. Because Final Fantasy, the early ones, have a lot of gnarly monster designs, of course. Now, these characters in this game look very cute. Alright, this is not going well. I think I'm going to have to take this death. Start again. Be a bit more accurate with my shots. I have plenty of lives to burn, so that's alright. Oh, wait, what? Oh, I gotta do the level again? Well, that's fine. I'll just be better about my save states this time. Yes. So, yeah, apart from Final Fantasy, she did all these other things. I mentioned Saga. A lot of the Saga games, Romancing Saga, the first few of those. She also worked on the original Mana game, Final Fantasy Legend on the Game Boy. Legend? Yeah. Adventure? I forget. the first Mana game. It's in the new Mana collection, of course. Alright, save state. What else? Saga games, Blue Ink Blitz. Oh yeah, another interesting one on the list was Nanashi no Gemu. Nameless game, which is like a game that is the embodiment of like those creepypastas you read about a cursed video game. So it's a DS game, and as you play it, the characters in the game find a retro game that they then play, which is another thing that I've been getting into lately, playing things like the Game Center CX / retro game challenge games, where they kind of replicate old style retro games that never existed, fake games, you know, and acting like they're real creations from the time, and so trying to replicate the limitations and decisions of that era, which is really interesting stuff. And Nanashi no Game does a similar thing, but then subverts it and has all like, you know, oh, everybody's bleeding or something, you know, photorealistic eyes, all that stuff is all done there, and that got a follow-up or two as well. Yay! Okay, so that's one down. How many serpent beasts are we up to in these boss fights? Is it 2 or 3? Wait, what? What did I do? Did I like... Oh, did I hit the serpent? Yeah, I must have hit the serpent. Okay. Yeah. So it's pretty cool stuff. And after we've cleared this boss, we'll be on the last world of the game, so I better check if I have any more notes to talk about. Which I will do now. Yeah, it's a lot of my information here comes from that interview, which is really fascinating. I guess I'll wrap up coverage of the interview and Shibuya's career with this quote from the Shmuplations interview. Quote from interviewer. Oh wait, some context first. At a certain point they did a Final Fantasy tribute music album, which had, you know, music from all over the series, and then the cover artwork was chibi sprite style representations of all the characters of many characters from across the years in the style of the Pick Logica games like I was talking about. And so she illustrated the cover artwork for that, interpreting those characters in that style. And so the interviewer says, with the Final Fantasy Tribute Thanks album... Oh, it advanced while I was paused. Interesting. With the album, I think many fans will have a new chance to get to know you and your work. Have you had any feedback from them yet? Shibuya: yes, people were tweeting about it to me. There were people who knew about me from before, but there were some comments like, I didn't know these were drawn by a woman. There have never been many women working in the game industry, so I hope my work can serve as a small inspiration to them. Although it can be a difficult work environment for a woman. Laughs. So, yeah, that's a telling comment, really. And she doesn't really go into it much more than that in the interview itself. Her reminiscences are more positive and nostalgic, talking about the working environment and how they all got on, and stuff like that. She doesn't talk about experiencing harassment or anything like that, but I do get the sort of unspoken impression, and from that quote, that since she was one of only very few women in that office, in that crowded office, it might not have been, you know, the best for her mentally. But yeah, but I think she's right. Like, hearing these stories about her and how influential her work is do have the potential to be really inspiring. So that's why interviews like this are really important, because she is a pretty quiet person in terms of her professional life. This interview is one of the few times she's spoken out about it, and yeah. Man, there is a lot of flickering with all the Serpent Beast sprites on the screen, isn't there? Sometimes the NES just can't handle this kind of thing, but they were pushing it to its limits and doing a very good job with it too. Yeah, anyway, so that's what I wanted to say about Shibuya and her work, and I think that's really yeah, an interesting case study there. So again, check out the Shmuplations interview. It's well worth a read if you've been interested by any of these anecdotes that I've said today. And hopefully this doesn't take too much longer, but yeah, while I'm in World 8, I want to talk a bit more about the 3D effect. So 3D was really... Okay, cool. What is that in the background anyway? Oh well. Is that a little victory sign or what? Maybe he's just waving at me, who knows. Alright, we're in a future Funland now, apparently. Space City 20XX. Oh wait, I think there was a year in the manual actually. What was it? Oh no, don't tell me. Don't tell me I need to jump on the pillars. I'm gonna try and jump as late as I can. Yes, made it. Tight jump, but we did it. And we got some really... Yeah, those little triangle things remind me of some of the enemies in Paper Mario Thousand Year Door once you get to the moon. We've seen them before though. Yeah, so the 3D effect, like I said, Rad Racer had a similar 3D mode with the red-blue separation, but I've also read that Rad Racer had support for the Famicom 3D system, an official peripheral from Nintendo to create a 3D visual effect. And Nintendo only used it in one game in the grand tradition of Nintendo creating an expensive high-tech peripheral and then immediately dumping it and forgetting about it forever. So they did Famicom 3D Hot Rally... Famicom 3D Grand Prix 2 Hot Rally... Something like that. What's it called again? Famicom? Yeah, anyway. It's a complicated title, but it's got Mario and Luigi on the cover. It's actually the second game to feature Luigi's modern character design after, you know, Mario 2 Japan version. And then soon to be seen in Golf and things like that as well. So, yeah... It was this peripheral you could get, and instead of the red-blue separated anaglyph style 3D that was supported by this game and by, you know, things like 3D movies you might have seen at the time, and later even, picture books, this kind of 3D illusion was very popular at the time in all sorts of media. Oh, what was that? Oh, some kind of new enemy that looks like a little TV. Alright, so this is really tough because the hands are blocking my horizontal movement, but then we're also having these spiked balls, which are really putting a damper on my mobility, but that's alright. We're through it now. Just tricky positioning, as is the case in this game a lot of the time. So Gibbon saying... yeah, correcting me on the title. Famicom Grand Prix 2, 3D Hot Rally. I actually like that one. It's a cross-country racing title with pit stops and fuel management. Yeah, it's really interesting. It's a cool game. The first Famicom Grand Prix game was a top-down racer of the style that you would have seen a lot in the 8-bit era. But because of the 3D effects that they implemented for the second game, they also had a 3D gameplay style in the sense that it was behind the back of the car and you're driving forward into the screen. The same way that Rad Racer did it and things like that. But yeah, as Gibbon says, it's also a full rally kind of... thing with simulation elements like fuel management stuff, so that's cool too. And was that one of the ones where Mario and Luigi are on the cover but not in the game? I don't remember. Could be. But anyway, yeah, it was a cool game. But about well, what's it called? Famicom 3D system, a Japan exclusive peripheral, I believe, that made games like this possible without the weird colors of anaglyph 3D glasses. They did it by having a shutter system inside the glasses. So modern 3D like TVs and movies will use a glasses system that uses the property of light called polarization, where materials can filter out certain wavelengths of light, and the alternate lenses in each glass, the alternate lens in each side of the glasses polarizes different parts of the light signal in the movie or the thing you're watching. And using that, they can offset the two slightly. And this is the same way blue-red works, just with a different technique. It's all about separating two images slightly so that your brain interprets two flat 2D images as being part of a deep 3D image in front of you. And it's clever stuff, but it doesn't always, work really well. Like the weird colors you get with the red-blue stuff, or the fact that the polarizing one darkens the whole image because you're only getting half the light in total. So everything looks a lot dimmer. Doug Dimmerdome of the Dinsdale Dimmerdome. Yeah, so the shutter system in the Famicom 3D system was different again, where it had an active, like opening and closing shutter, which is one of the few glasses systems that requires an electrical, power to be given into it. And so you had to plug it into your console using that little used peripheral slot on the Famicom. And yeah, it would sync the cycling of the shutter to the refresh rate of the TV, I guess. So, 60 times in a second, it'll open and shut, or 30, it'll open and shut the shutter alternately in the two different eyes. I believe this is how it works. This is my understanding. I might be wrong about the specific technology of the Famicom 3D system, but I'm describing how I think it works. Yeah, so in this way, the two alternating, it's got a similar thing like this, except without the colors. And by alternating the shutters, your eye only sees one. Each eye sees one of the images at a time. So I don't know. I've never experienced it. I don't know how it looks, but yeah, that's how the theory goes. And not many games really supported this. There is only a handful of them in total. One Nintendo one, a couple of Square ones. So the sequel to this game, JJ2, Tobidase Daisakusen Part 2, or whatever, supported the more advanced Famicom 3D system instead of the red-blue thing. Rad Racer and possibly Rad Racer 2 did it as well as, let me see, I'll write this down. Oh yeah, of course. Another excellent Space Harrier clone that I would be playing today if I hadn't already played it on stream a while ago. Attack Animal Gakuen, which is really cool, has an excellent cover. And yeah, you play as a schoolgirl with a machine gun blowing up animals instead of these more abstract creatures in this kind of game and in Space Harrier. Yeah, that's a cool game. Attack Animal Gakuen. I probably should have actually thrown it on for a few minutes today, but it's on my other computer. Because it certainly fits the theme of what I'm doing today. And you'll see some more games like this after I'm done with this one, but yeah, I wanted to give Kazuko Shibuya's work its full due before moving on. Yeah. So anyway, it was a short-lived thing, but I guess it's worth mentioning Nintendo's other forays into this kind of thing with the Virtual Boy in 1995, where you have the two screens right up close to your face, so it's easier to alternate between them, but they sort of skimped out with the visual technology there to make it cheaper, and so it didn't really look the best, and yeah, gave people headaches and stuff. And then of course they revisited it with the 3DS, which was kind of revolutionary for having, you know, a traditional handheld system that you don't have to hold right up to your face, and managing to have a 3D look without glasses. That was the big thing. Glasses-free 3D. It's what everyone is striving for. And they did it, in that case, by having a screen with, like, double pixel density along its width. So it's a 400 by 240 screen, I think. But there's actually 800 pixels along the horizontal width of the screen. And just like the shutter system and stuff, they were displaying two images sort of at once, but alternating them, and they're slightly offset, but they're only offset by 1 pixel, as they have, you know, half the pixels showing one thing and half of them showing another, and your eyes interpret that, and then you like alternate between them or something. I don't know all the specifics, but by doing this, your eyes are tricked into thinking that it's a 3D image with depth. Is that the end of the game? We're in 8.4 now, and we've just beaten a whole lot of damn serpent beasts. So many. Yeah, I guess that's the end. That's cute. Square says... What does Square say? Asks Jumpin' Jack. Is this Grax? That might be Grax, by the way. I don't think we actually... Oh, no, that's the first level boss. This is the second level boss. Oh, no. You're not going to tell me to try again, are you? This is actually pretty funny. Each serpent says one word, and JJ is giving like, excuse me? What are you talking about? Press B. Okay. Yeah. 4 times, okay. Aha! Speed it up, guys, come on. Hold. Whoa, gotcha. I don't think I quite gotcha. I'm getting a little confused by the instructions. Left and up. So press B 4 times, hold left and up, and this reminds me of, well, I'll talk about that in a minute. Start, okay. B 4 times, up and left and start. Sure. This is weird. I guess they have this in lieu of a credits screen. Good luck. So is this going to give me on a harder route or something? Thanks. That is cool animation. Too bad that wasn't used in the game. Oh, that is a tiny gun. We're finally seeing the gun. And it's very small. See you again. Thanks. I wish they would tell you who made the game, but hey, I already told you everyone who made it, I guess. Or most of the people, at least. There might have been 1 or 2 more. The end. Cool. We better find out what that secret code does. I think I have to restart. Wait, what? What? That's not what restart is supposed to do. Reset? Oh, what? What's going on? I'll try just like dragging the game into the emulator again. Alright. That's given us at the start. Where do I do it though? Okay, B 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, up and left, and start. Okay, I'll do it on this screen. B, 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 up and left and start. I don't know, did that change anything? Who knows? I'm done anyway. So that was 3D WorldRunner. What I want to do next is just quickly to bring up the sequel, even though I'm not sure if Kazuko Shibuya worked on it. I just want to show you the difference they did when, following up on this game. JJ Tobidase Daisakusen, Part 2, 1987. It has, as we can see, I press select and it's gone weird and has two images, but we don't have the weird color thing because this is supporting the Famicom 3D system with all those advantages I mentioned before. So it's a similar UI, but it's more sort of dark, gritty, cyberpunk. My character looks like Solid Snake now. It's faster paced. It's a lot harder from what I've read. But yeah, the backgrounds and the style of the character sprites and stuff, much more kind of gnarly and sci-fi dark kind of thing. And I don't have to hold up to do a full screen height jump anymore, luckily. So that's cool. So there's a whole nother game in a similar style that's even harder than the first one. Hopefully there's no damn pillar jumps, eh? But yeah, that's actually just to check. Nice. We have a new idle animation on the pause screen. Very cool. All right, so that wraps up 3D WorldRunner stuff. Let me check my notes. Do I have anything more to say? Nope, that was it. So on the second half of the stream now, what I'm going to be doing is checking out some other games that over the years have tried to clone Space Harrier, because again, Sega's Space Harrier, extremely popular. People wanted in on that. They wanted some of that action. And this is one example of Square doing it, but many other companies tried to get a piece of that as well. And luckily, well, it took me a while to try and emulate some of these systems in RetroWatch, but I did eventually manage it, and I'm very proud of that. So, yep, that looks good. Okay, so the first game I'm going to be playing to do this is to demonstrate, how far this influence goes, is this game from 1988. It's called Alantia, Legend of Blue Star, and it was released on the PC 98, and getting the PC 98 up and running, bit of a chore. So to start with, we're going to look at the opening animation. Let's go. Oh, and I will need to change my keyboard settings over. Or yeah, my gamepad assignments. All right, can we look at the opening movie? Oh, okay, so there's 3 floppy disks that this game came on, and we have to swap over. Oops. Oh boy. Yeah, so this is like a core in RetroWatch for Neko Project 2 Kai. I'm going to put disk 2 in drive 1 and then press return on the numpad. Hello? Oh no, it's not working. Oh, into drive 2 it says. Okay, my bad. Oh, no, sorry, wrong button. F12 to bring up the menu. Oh, that's the wrong place. Oh, it should be here. Yeah, okay, cool. Return. Whoa, ready for some cinematic action. This was touted in advertisements for the game at the time. How cinematic it was and anime inspired. Gibbon says, "Oh, for the days of floppies, indeed." Flip over your floppy. Am I supposed to advance this manually? Maybe. Slow paced. Okay. Oh. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is a wicked cool spaceship. We are not going to see it during gameplay because I don't have the skill to get that far in the game. I'm not going to play this for long, spoiler alert, because it's incredibly janky and difficult. But there are sequences later in the game, much like 3D WorldRunner, where it suddenly transitions to a free-flying shooting thing instead of running along the ground as it usually is. And what? There's supposed to be more, I'm sure. I don't know, maybe the floppy's broken. let's just play the game. How do I do that exactly? You know what, I'm just going to reset. There's more screens than that, I've seen them anyway. Check out the HD 101, Hardcore Gaming 101 review of Alantia. It's like Atlanta, but with an extra I and no T. Never mind. PC 98. Yeah, so on that article you can see a lot of screenshots of the game and later stages of it after the bit I've got to. Okay, so now we put disk 3 into drive 2. I can do that. So disk 1 is like the boot disk, and disk 2 has the data for the opening animation. I don't think we saw all of it, but whatever, that's fine. Disk 3 has the game data. So, do we have a password? We do not. So what we're going to do is pick our power-up. You can get the blue shield, which gives you more health and much better survivability, or you can... No, I want the shield, please. It's not letting me go back. What? Maybe... Yeah, this pink thing is like a rapid fire that improves your shooting capabilities. Okay, cool. Here's the game. We can see on the floor a similar kind of grid pattern to represent you running along, and the graphics here are really impressive for the PC 98, I gotta say. Even with all the dithering, how high res they are, and the... Oh, okay. And the smoothness of the scrolling and everything, it's all very cool. For the platform, you must keep that in mind. Yeah, Given says, wow, that is quite impressive. Yeah, again, this is 1988 on a home computer that wasn't really the best for games, but look what they've done with it. And by they, well, we don't really know, actually. English language sources, even Japanese language sources, are pretty silent on who actually developed the game. The publisher is acknowledged, well, you can see on the cover artwork of the game that the publisher is Cross Media Soft. Some places attribute development to them as well, but from what I've read, they're pretty much just a publisher. They were a like a label of Victor Musical Industries. By the way, just to cover this quickly, the little stars in the bubble on the left side of the UI are my current health. And I think the ones in the right are like my max health. And because we have the shield, we had a lot more health, so it means we've survived a lot longer into this than we should have. And yes, I am able to... Oh, I forgot that there's a way to shoot those eyeballs. If you crouch, if you're facing forward and then crouch... Oh, okay. Yeah, didn't quite manage to pull it off, but we'll try again. Basically, the game is extremely awkward to control, really janky, and... it gives you a lot of trouble, and this emulator doesn't exactly support save states in its current configuration, so I'm not going to be able to get very far. It's already in there, so I don't need to insert it. I guess I'll show you what the pink one does. No, 5. This one? What's the button? Enter? Okay, cool. So yeah, about the control quirks. You can run to the left and right. You can run straight forward by, and this is all numpad control, by the way. So like 5 on the numpad is walk straight forward. 8 is to do a small jump. Slash is to do a larger jump with a flip. And that's your movement. But Erina here, Princess Erina, whose whole royal family got wiped out by the evil, what's his face man, the bad guy. You know, I didn't even get a chance to really show off the pink cylinder, so we'll do it again. Can I pause it all? Alright, we just got to do this. So yeah, we have a rapid fire. The thing about shooting in this game is that you can only do it while you're moving. If you're standing still, no shooty. If you jump, you can shoot. if you crouch, you can shoot, and then it arcs upwards, and that's how you hit the giant eyeballs. But you also have to be facing forward. See, if I move to the side and then crouch, I'm actually shooting to the right. I'm not lined up properly, so I need to be moving forward and then stop, and then crouch, and then shoot, and then it goes in the arc I want to hit the eyeball, which makes it close, which means it doesn't shoot at me the whole time that I'm running. One review that I read of this game didn't know that you could run forwards, and that was a big impediment to them, and I can see how it would be. But even if you do know how to run forwards, controlling and getting through the game is extremely problematic, considering the limitations on your shooting. Now, so yeah, the pink cylinder doesn't help you that much, I guess, because you can still shoot relatively quickly without it, but the extra survivability of the blue shield, I think, is a lot more preferable. Now later on you unlock a third power-up in between the two, which is a green crystal. From what I've read, it has neither the advantages or it has neither of the advantages of the blue shield or the pink cylinder, so you should never pick it. So the other thing I've read about this is that you should be careful. Not run forward all the time. Just take each obstacle as it comes to you. I'm kind of ignoring some of that advice and running forward a lot, but... Oh, okay, so I think that eyeball is lower down, so you got to shoot in a more forward arc to hit it. Okay, yeah, that's right. But yeah, speaking of the gnarly backgrounds of JJ, they're even more like cool and like anime OVA style in this game. I think they've done a really cool job with these, the world here in the backgrounds, especially later on in the game. If you see someone who's got further in it, you can see screenshots of that, like I said, on the HG101 article. You can look elsewhere. I think there's a full game playthrough on YouTube, maybe. I don't know if it goes all the way through. Yeah, Gibbon agrees, saying, "This is great, very 80s anime, I love it." Indeed, indeed. And much like a lot of 80s anime and OVAs, we're getting this kind of phenomenon where, like, we're playing as a female main character, which is cool, and that's positive in a way, but it's clearly intended for the male gaze, and the way she's depicted in the game is very emphasizing of her physical attributes in the sense that a lot of my animations are actually showing off my underpants, which is not ideal, but hey, let's try and celebrate Erina as she is. A powerful wizard of some kind who is trying to retake her homeland from the evil whatever the guy is who came in and mucked everything up. I don't know anything else about the story off the top of my head. I'm sure I've read more about it, but it's all gone. So let's talk a little bit more about Victor Musical Industries. They may have had an internal team that created the game, but as of now we don't really know. All we know is that Cross Media Soft, which is one of their labels, did publish it. But we do know Victor Musical Industries. We've seen their work on stream before. They're the ones who only a few weeks ago created I played it a few weeks ago. They created it many years ago for the PC Engine CD, the series of Ultra Box sort of variety packs, which had all kinds of weird applications on them, and were fun little... oh, come on. Am I just not lined up properly? I don't get this. Let's try a jump. Pew, pew, pew. Yeah, I think you kind of aim downwards when you jump, so that's not going to help me too much with this. But if I manage to avoid enemies long enough, I might be able to sneak past them to the end of the level, which is a valid strategy in this game, but difficult to pull off. Somersault. Oh, are we done? Oh, we have very little health left, but we're getting there. Nope, we're down. So yeah, other stuff that Victor Musical Industries published include War of the Dead, a really interesting kind of Metal Gear type, Zelda 2 type game on the MSX, as well as Ruin Kami no Isan, which I brought up recently during my Umihara Kawase related streams, because it is one of the few games with character designs by Toshinobu Kondo. It's an action RPG. And so that was Victor as well. Yeah, I think that about covers everything I had to say about this game, and we're not going to get much further by beating our head against it. Oh, we're getting really quick credits. That's interesting. Oh my gosh. I wonder if we could slow those down and find out what company did that. That could be groundbreaking. Yeah, I've never seen that before. Huh. Also, this is really interesting. They've kind of flipped the logo up so it's the same both ways, sort of. So that's interesting. Save the video. I will. I always save my videos. They're all up on YouTube. Yeah, maybe I can add that to Moby Games later if I manage to translate the names. Not promising anything. Right, one more thing I want to show off with this game. It's stuck in this loop. Okay, yeah. BGM. Okay, so disc 2 also contains all the isolated music tracks from the game. And you can play through them from this screen. But while you do so, it also displays all the graphics from the game. So you can see all the enemy types that we weren't able to get to yet. Some of them, from what I read, are even unused in the game itself. But they're here in this sort of art gallery, which is also the music player. That's the plane transformation. It looks like we actually turn into like a Guardian Legend Myria type android robot where our character, or perhaps a mech suit or something, that transforms from mech form to plane form. You get that in boss fights later, so it's actually pretty similar to Tobidase Daisakusen as well. That's all of Erena's animation frames there. Closer look at that plane. Bit of a world map. Yeah, just some world building. And this has puzzled me. Kurohige Soft, it sounds like it could be the name of the developer, but I've checked and there's nothing, I don't get any results for that. It just means black beard or black facial hair. So when I tried searching for it, I got a lot of results for pirates. Yeah, so I don't think it's the name of the publisher, but who knows. Oh, there's a later level in the game. Again, we can see that awesome, fully sick background art. Gibbon is now watching a full playthrough of this game on YouTube from someone more skilled than me, and there is some crazy stuff in there indeed. Okay, so that's it. Yeah, cool game. But moving on, we're actually going to get to another cross-media soft production, or yeah, published game. And this is another thing that I had a bit of trouble emulating. It's on the Sharp X68000, but using the core in RetroArch. Whoops. Whoa. What's going on? My controller's rumbling. That's right. This particular emulator has support for controller rumbling upon disk access, which is a fun little quirk. Right. After World War IV, some stuff happened. This is AD 2435, the distant future. This is a game called Neural Gear, released in 1990, just 2 years after Alantia. The Hardcore Gaming 101 article for Alantia, attributes development of both these games to the same people, thus saying that there was like evolution and iteration from one to the other, but I can't really confirm that. All I know is that they both exist, and they were both published by Cross Media Soft. According to Moby Games, this was developed by Fill-In Cafe, which is another name that will be familiar from my Toshinobu Kondo type streams, because he worked for them at some points, including doing character design for their game Galaxy Deca Gaiden, the side-scrolling beat-em-up where I was a space cop. Of course, they also did Asuka 120%, which I've played on stream before in the all-female fighting games showcase, which is about schoolgirls from different clubs fighting it out. And Fill-In Cafe also developed Ruin Kaminoi-san, which I just mentioned, also published by Victor Musical Industries. Okay, so let's play the game. New game. Wait. Oh, that's right. This game is completely controlled by the mouse. Let's just check the configuration. Am I able to... The main problem with this game and why I won't be spending very much time on it is that the sensitivity of the mouse is extremely high, and I wasn't able to figure out how to adjust that. So it's going to be really tricky for us, but it's worth a look anyway, because it's another kind of attempt at a Space Harrier type formula, and with a female protagonist, which is the sub criteria that I'm using to play some of these other games today. So here we have a lady called, what was it, MET Phonon or something, I believe, from synopsis of the game, in our high-powered mech suit in the distant future after World War IV. And what's interesting about this, which it has in common with Umihara Kwase, is the kind of interesting, strange UI to the game that is very prominent on screen and takes up a lot of space. The top left number is sort of a timer and also health. It counts down until game over, but it also, if we get hit, we lose some of it as well. So it's a health counter. It's also a timer for the stage. I don't know if the CPU is set too high or something, but this seems to be going really fast, and it doesn't linger on any of the screens in between modes. So I don't know what's going on there. I feel like I should have more time to read some of the things in between menus, but oh well, that's fine. This is just a brief show off of the game until I die. And my speed is up there. I wonder if I can adjust that at all. I know right click does something with like a super weapon. Yeah, we also have the, of course, Lilac Wars style hit count at the bottom, which takes up way too much of the screen if you ask me, but I guess it's kind of, one of those things that a lot of games did at this sort of time where to make the gameplay itself smoother, they restricted the size of the actual motion gameplay window to a subset of the screen. And in this case, well, actually, yeah, enemies and shots are going all over the screen, so that's probably not the case in this one, that it's locking off part of the screen to make it look better. That doesn't seem to be the case. Oh well. It's just a stylistic choice then, really, to have this giant hit point counter. It kind of, I guess, replicates what Emmy is seeing inside the cockpit of her mech suit, which is an interesting kind of thing. Like, it's the heads-up display of a cyborg fighter pilot here, right? Giving you information about what's going on around you, except in this case, of course, it's very gamified. Hit count, score. It's intended for us, clearly. But yeah, it's an interesting choice and not one that you see too often, which makes it really cool, I think. I'm getting the hang of small hand movements to adjust my aim. So that's good. When I had practiced this before, I didn't even get past the first stage. But it is, yeah, moving the cursor also moves us. That's a classic thing with limited control system games, but also makes them simpler and easier to control anyway. So, oh boy, okay. Given says, oh lordy, yeah, that is zipping by. Yeah, I don't know if I need to adjust the clock speed of the X68000 or something, or if that's even possible. But maybe this is just how the game plays. It's really interesting though. I've had this game on my list for a long time to check out, but it's always been a challenge just in terms of emulation. I finally figured it out, but not really well enough to play it for an extended period of time, which is why it's good as the backup feature for this stream. Yeah, this and Alantia were kind of bucket list things for me, but I'm not going to get very far. Again, it's all mouse controlled. We just hold down the left click and yeah, I just cannot get past that one. Oops. I picked new game by mistake because of the sensitivity issue. I wanted to check out this other thing. Can we actually change our loadout? Oh, well, whatever. We're here now. It's a cool game either way. Good style. I liked the look of the characters in the intro cutscene too. some weird kind of enemies, these strange robot birds. Alantia went for that kind of dark fantasy anime style with a bit of a sci-fi bent with the whole mech suit fighter pilot thing at the end. But this one's very sci-fi with a bit of oddness to it as well. Energy recharged. So yeah, again, this is Neural Gear by probably Fill-In Cafe, published by Cross Media Soft. 1990. I think it was actually Fill-In Cafe's first game, if that's correct. So well done them. Alright, let's see if we can clear this stage this time. We just have to not do that, not get hit by these orbs this time. Try and get as far as we can without taking too much damage, because that boss fight is pretty rough. And, well, as you can see, we again have this trope that we've seen in Space Harrier, we've seen in 3D WorldRunner as well, where there's enemy creatures that are snakes made up of many segments that undulate and just, yeah, it's easy to animate things like that, because you just repeat a sprite a bunch of times, or you can even have different sprites, but you don't have to animate them all at once because they're quite separate. Yeah, I didn't even get to the boss that time. But it looks like you have infinite continues, which is nice. The only reason I restarted the other time was because I accidentally clicked on the wrong menu option. Oops. These ones are just a void. Yeah, you get actually decent oral feedback on what's happening. You hitting enemies, them hitting you. Of course, you can also see your number going down, but my character sprite doesn't really change at all. Oh, I'm taking way too many hits here. This is real bad. But I need to take these ones out to move on, or the timer's going to run down anyway. Come on. Come on. One more. Oh, the sensitivity. You can see just how distracting it is. Yeah, this is real bad. Not going to win this time. Woo! I need a drink. Yes, given it is extremely twitchy. I've just hit S12, which was the sort of function key in the PC98 emulator. It's probably not what I need here. Oh good, it went back to the same point. I was worried about that. Now, do I... I don't remember if this supports save states. Nope, it doesn't. Never mind. Oh, what have I done? We're continuing, that's fine. I'll have another go, but I do have a couple of other games to cover, so I'll stop before too long. Yeah, like I was saying before, there's a lot of Space Harrier clones, but I was able to narrow down my selection by picking the ones that, yeah, have a female protagonist, or at least a playable character. And I'm basically covering all the ones I could find today. After Jump and Jack, of course, which has a man. As Space Harrier did. Oh, actually, come to think of it, there is another one that I can't really cover. So, oops. Space Harrier got a couple of sequels, it's mostly ports, but there was a follow-up in arcades by Sega called Planet Harriers. It's full 3D. Well, I haven't really looked into it too much, but I haven't tried to emulate it. I wonder if it's running on the Naomi system. It might be doable with Dreamcast emulation, but I don't know. Point is, it's a fully 3D kind of Space Harrier take that's more about, you know, more like later rail shooters that are more advanced, have full 3D movement, 3D landscapes and stuff to navigate through. Okay, so I got an energy recharge that time, and I've made it to the boss really quickly with plenty of energy, so this is my best chance yet trying to beat it. But it's about avoiding it. On the second pass they take... no, I think both are about the same, but you gotta wait until they've passed. It's really tough though. They don't give you much of a gap to hit them with. Because again, the cursor is also controlling my own movement. Yeah, that was rough. I don't know how you're supposed to do that. Unless it's by using special weapons, which I still haven't really figured out how to do. Let me see what this says. SPC, some kanji I can't read. Saidozes. What is that? Well, I clicked it. So let's try right-clicking. Oh, there we go. So I do have... oh, I have both. Is there a limit to those? It's not sapping my energy, is it? Maybe it is. I don't know. Alright. I don't think I had this before, or I wasn't selecting it or something, but yeah, we have extra firepower by using right-click that I was not making use of. Of course, our energy is much lower at this point, so... oh! I took them out, but I ran out of energy. Alright, one more go. Let's do it. 5 down to 4. Click this other one. Yeah, okay, so... we have to rapid fire this one with right clicks. The other one... oh, that's actually using a lot of energy. Maybe that's why I had so little last time. I'll save it for the boss then. Or the mini-boss. Yeah, that works too. Oh, I didn't get my energy recharge this time. Maybe there's a pickup on screen that I just can't see. Oh, this is not going well. Okay, I'll try... oh, yeah, what's going on there? 5 down to 4 now, but... doesn't matter which one I pick. Ugh, don't understand this game. Alright, one more go with my preferred weapon, and we'll see if we're able to get past that boss. Pew pew pew! Cool, by destroying the dragon I got an energy recharge. Pretty early though, would have been more useful later on. Cool. This is going much better, now that I've mastered secondary weapons. Sort of. Okay, boom boom boom, let's go! Spam my way through. Beautiful stuff. Alright, I don't know how much longer I should play this, because there's other games to get to, but, well, I guess I'll keep going. See what other variety we have here. What is the time? Oh yeah, I should probably move on soon. I'll finish this level and then I'll go play the other one. Yeah, I didn't think I would do so well with this, but by engaging with it a little more, I've figured it out better. And now look at us. Yeah. Awesome. Ooh. Cool. Yeah, this is actually going well. Shall I do another? Ooh, we're above the clouds now. Very cool. I wonder how long a full playthrough takes. No, I should stop. I'll just do this one level. I'm really pleased with this, actually. Yeah. And with the quality of the cutscene at the very top in the intro, I kind of wish there were more cutscenes. We might get another one at the end, but yeah, so far we've done quite a few stages with no additional plot. Oh yeah, energy running low. Oh, that was the end. Okay. Gosh, I wish I had save state on this emulator. Because if I abandon it now... yeah, it doesn't support it. Yeah, I want to move on. So that was Neural Gear. Hopefully there's a full playthrough of that online somewhere. But yeah, for now I have a couple other things that I would like to show because they're really cool. Alright, first things first. DOSBox. We're going to the world of DOS. And using DOSBox X, I will have save states. The only thing I need to do is what I should have set up beforehand, which is navigating DOS. Okay, Mount C. I'm sure there's a way to preset this, but I forgot. Okay. CD all, and then para.bat. Let's go. Alright, so here we're entering the world of Korean games development. Now, they have their own little games industry over there. You know, that sounds very patronizing to say little, but the truth is that it's fairly insular. Not many of the games that were created in Korea ever got exported and released in the West or elsewhere. Including this one. But some of the other games made by Family Production in South Korea in the 90s and early 2000s did get exported. So you might be familiar with some of the characters in this game if you're like a real deep dive DOS player. So this is a Space Harrier clone that takes the form of a crossover between 4 different franchises that Family Production had made up to this point on DOS. So what we've seen already are the little ships that are kind of, well, they're really very much rip-offs of Twin Bee and Win Bee. We then saw Shaky the Wolf and his wife from his game, and this is P and Gitty. So yeah, okay. Whew. Sorry, that was very fast-paced. But the ships are from a horizontal scrolling shmup called Illusion Blaze. Shaky and his wife are from Shaky the Wolf, a cartoony 2D platformer, which did get an export. We also get 2 mechs, which we didn't see in the opening cutscene, and they're from a side-scrolling action game called Iron Blood. And P and Giddy, the little animal creatures, I think maybe a chameleon and some kind of, I don't know, squirrel or something. They're from a beat-em-up series that actually got 3 games in that series, although none of them were exported as far as I could tell. Right. Yes. Okay, let's play. 1 player. And yes, here's our selection. This game does support multiplayer. Sorry, it's very loud in my headphones. I've been turning it down on stream so it doesn't overwhelm you, but it's overwhelming me right now. Yeah, the Twin Bee ripoff has the red counterpart, which I take to be female, judging by the conventions of Twin Bee. These are the mech characters from Iron Blood, P and Gitty, and Shaky and his wife, who, as far as I can tell, doesn't have a name that I could find. But we're going to pick her because she is, I guess, a lady. That's all there is to it. I assume that the red Twin Bee thing is as well, but yeah, this character is more outwardly feminine, clearly. And yeah, so what is this? Well, it's very Space Harrier-esque. Each character of the 8 available has their own both normal attack. In this case, I'm throwing double boomerangs. But there's also a secondary attack. In her case, it's shooting a swarm of flowers out to cloud your enemies. Oh, okay, there's a shop. Great. Oh, wow, that's very charming. So that's probably going to restore health. I don't know how much it costs, though. I wish I knew what all this did. Maybe if I had a manual. Okay, so that's got me most of my health back. But it's also gone away. Let's get this little guy with a spear. I don't have enough. The chickens? I got the chickens. Great. Oh my gosh, what's this? It's like a mini game. Oh, that reminds me. I was going to say an anecdote about Final Fantasy that I never got to. If you are in the ship and you hold A or B and then press the other one 49 times, you get to a sliding block minigame. That's the first minigame in an RPG, and that was programmed in by Nessia Gabelli in secret. Anyway, this is a minigame. I guess it's chicken racing. I've bet 1 money on my chicken, and now we're going to watch it race. I had no idea that this was in the game. Let's go. Okay, go chicken. I forget which one's mine. Probably number 1, so that's bad for me. Oh, it's catching up. Go chicken. I love gambling. Actually, I hate gambling, but these chickens are super adorable. Did I get first? Yes, I believe I did. Great, I chose well. And I won 5 monies, I guess. Wonderful. Can we leave now? It's put me right back here. I'm going to press escape. Okay, good. Whew. That was correct. So I'm going to try and buy some other things. I can't afford any, so that's fine. Let's leave. Very cute little shopkeeper. Stage, Illusion Blaze. Yes, so I guess each of the stages are also based on the different games that are represented in this crossover. So Illusion Blaze was the shmup that was, I guess, a Twin Bee clone, or at least the characters are really rip-offs of Twin Bee and Win Bee. And you can also see on the bottom left my HP bar, so it's pretty generous with how much damage I'm able to take before dying, but also using the special attack, which was the flower swarm in my case, takes a little bit of your health off. But yeah, we also have an XP bar, getting experience for killing enemies, but I don't know what that's in aid of, or what it does for us, really. Cool. But yeah, since it's a crossover of different series that have kind of different aesthetics to them, we were in a sci-fi world, and now we're in a cartoonish, cutesy world. This must be based on Shaky the Wolf's home series, possibly. Could be P and Giddy, I'm not sure. Dang, P and Giddy are cute though. Oh, we took a few hits there. That's really not good. I don't know if there's any health pickups outside of the shop either. Oh! Dong. That's okay, we had some backups. I think our little egg in the top left is our life counter. So we got 3 more lives left. Oh! The sun is brushing its teeth. That's adorable. Oh, those weren't enemies, those were shots that I had to avoid. Oh, it's so cute. Oh no, it's eating now. It's eating something out of a cup. Some kind of stew, perhaps, or rice. And now it's just opening its mouth for some reason. That might be the sun, or it might be the moon. Uh-oh. Whoa! It wasn't the sun, well, the moon. It was no moon. It was a space station, or a robot, I guess. I assume that's what just happened. It took off its mask and it was a nasty robot. Because that planetary body, whatever it was, also disappeared from the sky. Kaboom. Now that's cute. Having like a boss visible in the background the whole way through as you progress, preparing for the battle against you, that is a really cool idea. Interrupt. What does that mean? Okay. Oh, the shop. How much do I have? 1,000. Yeah, let's go for it. I want the guy with the spear. Cool. What else should I get? The ring? 500, okay. Oh wow, I could buy lots of things. I don't know what any of them do. Hopefully we can figure it out. Oh no, what's that? Oh, I've got a little friend. Okay, so one of the options I picked, I wish I knew which one, gave me a little option, as they're known in sort of Gradius circles. I don't know if Space Harrier ever really experimented with that kind of thing, but, or any rail shooter, come to think of it. Can I think of any rail shooter where you have a little buddy that shoots along with you? I can't think of any, but I'm not the most experienced with the genre. I just really like Star Fox. But yeah, it's throwing baseballs, which is fun and cute. I guess they must like baseball in South Korea. I don't know too much about South Korea, to be honest. And their culture. I consider this a cultural exchange of sorts. I'm learning about what goes on there, apparently. In some small way. Alright, flower time! I don't know. Doesn't seem that effective. Maybe it destroys enemy bullets or something. I gotta take out this hot air balloonist. Oh, down again. Alright, we're almost out of... Oh, I lost my buddy! Oh well. This would probably be easier, but a lot more chaotic with 2 players at once. It supports that again, which would be pretty cool. What? Okay, yes, screen transition. We're in a new place. This game's pretty cool. I like how it mixes and matches different things. Gives it kind of a parodious feel. Oh, is that parallax scrolling? Look at that. Beautiful stuff. I'm going to take out those ceiling supports. Oh, wow. Cool. Whoa! Now that's some cool scaling stuff. Oh, there's 2 of them now. No way. Rude. 2 health bars. Let's focus fire one down first, shall we? A bit hard to aim our shots, but you kind of get a feel for it, especially because it's so rapid fire. It doesn't cost you anything. I wonder if the boomerangs really do hit things on the way back. If so, that would make this character pretty powerful. Oh, hang on. She's got a jetpack on. You can see if in certain animation frames, yeah, if I move while I'm not shooting to the side, you can actually see a little, like, nozzle on her back. Oops. Underneath her hair, which means that the exhaust from it would probably be cooking her hair right now. Must be uncomfortable. But maybe she just got out of the bath and it was wet anyway, so, you know, it's a good hairdryer kind of scenario. Just strap on your jetpack and fly around for a bit. Yeah, it seems like unfortunate positioning to me. So apparently, what I just fought was a mini-boss, and now there's another bigger boss. Oh yeah, that was good. That's good use of the flowers. All of them are getting hits in. And that takes it down quite a chunk of the boss health. Oops. Oh, that's the end. That's as far as we got. Okay, it's letting us continue. But from where? From the start of the stage. That's right. I think we might stop it there. Did I ever say the name of this game, by the way? It's called Olmang Jolmang Paradise. That's probably a really hideous mispronunciation of the Korean name. I can't do anything to quit here. I can hit all the buttons on the keyboard. Nope. I'm just gonna have to quit DOSBox. Yeah, cool stuff. Olmang Jolmang Paradise. Interesting game. if I had the chance to play as more characters, I would have picked some of the other ones. But if you're only letting me pick one, yeah, I'm happy with this sort of lioness anthropomorphized with a jetpack wearing a dress. That's really cool. It's a really weird decision for a character, especially as she doesn't seem to have much presence in her origin game series. Okay. Oh yeah, I was going to tell you about family production. They've done a lot of DOS games, some arcade games in the 90s. In 2003 they disbanded, but many employees reformed the company as Pentavision, and after that most of the games that they worked on were DJ Max rhythm games for the arcade. Alright, so that's all Mag Joel Mag Paradise as far as I could get. Yes, I'll quit for now. Thank you. Good stuff. Very cool. Right, last game on the docket for today. And I guess I won't take too long with this because Neural Gear ran long. But for this I need to launch my Dreamcast emulator. Yes, the Dreamcast. But before you start thinking about what possible gem of the past I could be playing, well, this game was created in 2020. Well, okay, they started making it in 2016. I just have to launch the right emulator and get it set up. Okay. Oh, that's not going to move. It is. Great. All right. This one. Okay. It's going to be nice widescreen. Change that. Oh yeah, I didn't use my save states in DOSBox X. That could have got me past the boss. Oh well. Right, so what I'm playing is Xenocider, and I'll launch this so you can see the nice title screen. This is the Kickstarter demo. So, this is a game from the very recent past, but created for an old console. The Kickstarter in 2016 aimed to make ports of the game on the PC, the Dreamcast, and a port to the 3DS. Unfortunately, they didn't get the funding on that. They only got about 26% of their intended funds. But hey, you know what? Retro Sumus, whose logo we saw there, they're a Spain-based team. They went ahead and kept working on the game anyway, and they've just recently released it at the end of last year. They focused it by making only a Dreamcast version, and you can buy it now for on a physical disc for your real Dreamcast, or you can get a virtual, like a digital version, which you can then put on a flash card or emulate. They don't support emulators, but it's technically possible. So yeah, good on them. Let's start. This is a sort of quick, rough proof of concept demo that they put together to promote the Kickstarter. Unfortunately, Kickstarter failed. The finished product is much more polished, but this is what they were showing the game off with at the time. And clearly you can see the Space Harrier inspiration, especially in this world, which is called the Fantasy Zone, a very deliberate reference to Space Harrier. But yeah, the gameplay in this segment is also very inspired by it as well, which is not the case for other parts of the game. So yeah, I guess that death is enough. We'll move on from that. But yeah, we're playing as a deadly cyborg assassin called Zara, who was created for one purpose only, to destroy. And so her kind of role is to be sent to different weird planets in the solar system or the galaxy or whatever, and blow up everything she sees. So she's kind of a bad guy, but who knows, maybe the planets she's destroying are full of bad guys themselves. Who knows? Oh yeah. So this stage is more proof of concept for the final control system for the game, which is where the back triggers move you from side to side, and your analog stick actually controls the cursor. So it's a little harder to get your mind around that your aiming is separate to your moving. Oh yeah, and we also have to jump. Boom. So yeah, we just got to get used to that. Oops, yeah, I don't have the muscle memory for it yet, but it's an interesting scheme that should pay off if you get used to it, I think. But yeah, this is a nice background very different feel to the other one, which shows, you know, the variety that would be present in the final game. All kinds of different enemies coming at me too. Kind of reminds me of Titania from Lilac Wars. Gibbon says, one look at the title screen, you can tell almost exactly when this came out. Well, yeah, so that's the 2016 Kickstarter demo. Pretty rough, but that's all it was, a proof of concept. The final game is much more polished, and I'm going to show you that now because I don't have the final game. I didn't shell out for it, but they released a demo of the final product that you can get from their website. I did have a bit more trouble emulating it, but I finally got it working under Demul. So that was Redream that I was using then. But Demul's the only one I could get the final one working with. What did I need to do? Load the GD-ROM. Did I do that already? Hold on a second. Let me show you what I'm doing. There was a way, was it this one? No, that's demo 1. Demo 2. Open, okay. Run? Was that it? Yeah, that's right. If I got to the BIOS, I wasn't able to launch it from the BIOS, but if I inserted the disk virtually and then started it up, it would run. So, produced by or under license from Sega? Not really. There's their custom title screen for you. Again, this is the final product made for a Dreamcast, but released in 2020. And yeah, you can see that same style, but they've gone from the flat concept image to this fully rendered title screen. By the way, the team, which I mentioned, based in Spain, since I started this stream by highlighting the work of a woman in the arts department of games, again here I'll point out that the team includes Marina Rodriguez, credited as concept and texture artist. And that's extremely important, especially for a low poly game, to have those textures looking good. And that's what they've done here. Now, in this final demo, we do have access to the fantasy land as before. Very, very Space Harrier. Look at that mammoth. That's directly out of Space Harrier. Oh, that's a fun thing. This emulator has support for the VMU, and I'll just drag that on screen real quick and show you. Maybe I'll keep it down there. Oh, what have I done? I've moved it. Hold on. I wonder if that will work. So yeah, they've included, oh, it's not there. Let me see. Maybe I can bring it up. Nah, forget it. Don't worry about it. Just know that there's a little VMU which shows a pixel art representation of Zara's face. Sometimes it has the logo of the game, stuff like that. So this is the same, yeah, kind of level that we saw before in the Kickstarter demo, but look how far they've come in 4 years. It's so much smoother and nicer. This is the fully featured game that they set out to finally make, and they did it. So well done to them. And yeah, we'll start with the Space Harrier bonus mode here, but then I'll show off the actual game stage that's in the demo as well. And that'll be enough for today. I just noticed that the volume of this game compared to others is a bit higher or lower. Lower, so I'm going to turn up the audio higher. That makes sense, right? That's better. Oh, yes, they're very proud of the soundtrack. Oh, we've come back right away. We have a life counter now. Nice. Very nice. Hopefully we can see a mammoth or some other kind of enemy before we have to leave this one. What's the time? Yeah, overrunning a bit, but that's alright. That's right out of Space Harrier. Everything here is directly taken from Space Harrier as homage. Oh! And here we have the dragon boss, of course. Iconic. But not as a series of spheres. They fully rendered the length of the dragon. Awesome. The only time I've seen Space Harrier in 3D is in Sega Superstars Tennis, actually, where there's a bonus mode. I think the console version has like larger versions of the sprites from the arcade game that are in a 3D environment, but if you play the DS version, they've actually rendered elements from the game in 3D, which is cool. So that's Sega Superstars Tennis by Sumo Digital on the DS. Oh, we're getting lines of mammoths. Oh, very cool stuff. Look at this. So yeah, you can see the love for Space Harrier here and the idea that went into it. On the Kickstarter demo, they also mentioned being inspired by other games such as Sin and Punishment, the Treasure game on the 64. They also had a Wii follow-up to that. And what was the other one? Oh yeah, Galaxy Force. That's another kind of super scalar type 3D shooter, rail shooter game. Don't know too much about that one actually, but it's similar style to this. Yeah, Gibbon says this is such a weird mashup of aesthetics. Yeah, because you have the kind of serialistic, you know, more cartoony Space Harrier inspired stuff, but Zara herself is very, you know, dark and gritty 90s cyborg anti-hero kind of comic art type thing. Oops, sorry about that. Boss 2 is a skating golem, apparently. You know, I'm not too familiar with Space Harrier, except for aesthetics from the opening level. Alright, that'll do. Oh, I guess we might as well see what stage 3 looks like. Oh, no, it cuts you off there for the demo. And a different look at Zara there. Nice stuff. The QR code probably takes you to the buy page for the final game. Right, let's give the real game a go. Xenobase. Yeah, the only way I was able to get this to run was in demo with the BIOS properly installed. Running it in other emulators just crashed at the title screen, so it wasn't too good. Welcome to life, Zara. Let's start by putting your body to the test. Move with the triggers. Now, unlike in the Kickstarter demo that gave me a bit of trouble, at least for this phase of the game, as far as I was able to play, including the first stage, you're on a lane kind of system, almost like, you know, Temple Run or, you know, the Sonic Dash games or things like that. Or even 3D Sonic games that, well, that's only in the grinding sections, right? Where they put you on different tracks that you swap between. But anyway, yeah, we have kind of tracks that we move. And now we've got the gun. Luckily, they've implemented an auto-fire system. You just have to tap shoot, and then you're able to aim it around while shooting, and then you move separately, which helps me a lot in terms of not having me doing too many functions at once on the controller. If you leave shooting to be automatic, then you can focus on aiming and firing, aiming and moving tracks at the same time, especially, like I say, when it is tracks that are separated, and it's not like free movement. It's a little bit easier to deal with. And now they're telling me about the side weapons, so I didn't actually use the force field to get past that bit, but that's the force field, and we have the nuke as well to clear all the enemies on screen. Very low poly mushroom clouds, but that's okay. And they're going to introduce different types of xenopods now, where these ones rapid fire with me. I've activated both, and they'll add extra shots to my main shot. So yeah, in the tutorial, they keep things pretty simple. Those little robot drone characters seem to be some kind of mascot for the game, because you see them a few times on the Kickstarter page. Oh, the mysterious artifact. It's a Dreamcast. Very cool stuff. Yeah, so this is an example of a modern game that's deliberately evoking Space Harrier, especially in those bonus stages, but they've used that as inspiration for the rest of the game as well. But yeah, injecting a lot more of its own identity as well into the main story. Which is different from all these other games I was playing that I was sort of ripping off Space Harrier around the time of when it was most popular. Okay, is that a tiny mammoth on my dashboard there? A little bobblehead? Very cute. But yeah, between stages we are able to upgrade our things in a shop. From experience of trying out the first stage, I'm going to need some shield. Yeah, let's max shield as far as we can for now. Oh, shield and armor are separate. Whatever. Let's just go. Some very cool pre-rendered cockpit view there. Or it might have actually been rendered just with lots of shiny reflective surfaces rendered in real time since we zoomed through it, which is nice. Alright, my next destination is a cybernetic world where organic life was purged centuries ago. Now is the time, for some reason, for you to eradicate this new civilization of mechanic life forms. Okay. Oh, okay. Separate routes. I'll just pick the first route. If you're playing this demo later, you can maybe try route 2 if you prefer. And I do actually like the extra blasters because that's even less thinking that I have to do of when to activate them. If they're ready, I'll shoot them on, get some extra shot power. It's probably just the first stage that we get in the demo, so if I manage to get through it, then that'll be nice. Otherwise, no. But yeah, we have the jump as well. It's more sort of hover on our little hoverboard here. Oh boy. Got to have some reaction times here, or else memorization. I've hit every one of those so far. Yeah, lots of things to shoot, but don't be distracted from the things popping up on the ground. That's what really does damage. And the pistons are distracting you from the saw blades. Everything is just really rough. Yeah, so I have died, but and been taken all the way back to the outside, but that's alright. I love the aesthetics here. Oh, can I actually avoid these? No, they're on every one of the tracks, so sometimes you have to jump over them with the hover. Ow! Oh man. That extra shield is not doing me too much good, is it? But I think it's really cool what the team have done here. Reminder that this is all playing on actual Dreamcast hardware. Not hardware in this case, I'm using an emulator, but this is, yeah, this is a Dreamcast game for all intents and purposes. You do see this sometimes with really talented developers making homebrew games for older consoles, and that's something I hope to maybe investigate more in the future on this stream. But yeah, it's a really cool thing that people do, taking on the limitations of an old platform, mining it for nostalgia and for the particular aesthetics or qualities that those old consoles have that people might be interested in re-experiencing. So here's a bit of a trap. Whoops! If you jump while the laser beams are above you, you'll get slammed. Yeah, this is really rough. I was getting hit by things that I wasn't quite sure about. Oh, Wadudo's here. Hi, Wadudo. Oh, that's my game over. Yeah, you might have just tuned in just for the very final moments of the stream, because I'm pretty much done here. If that's my game over, then I might have to stop there. Wadudo says that this reminds him of Heretic 2. Heretic... Supereded... What? I'm not sure what you mean. What is Heretic 2? Is that the one in the Doom engine? Or, no, Quake engine? Is that Hexen? Hexen Heretic? Heretic 2? I don't know. But yeah, it is a very 90s aesthetic, isn't it? It would have fit right in on the Dreamcast itself, but obviously the creators are fans of that. This is a new game, by the way, for the Dreamcast. You may have missed that before. Let's have one more attempt, and we'll go route 2 for something different. And that'll be it for the stream. I'm running a bit long. Hope you can forgive me. But I don't want to give up on this game. Oh, yes, I'll skip it. Lovely. Lets me do that. That's very nice. Of course, because we skipped the tutorial, we may not have... Oh, good. It's given us 2. Yes. So this time I'll increase my armor. And hopefully get a bit further. I don't know what good the lives are, because it put me back at the start of the stage every time. Maybe there's checkpoints that I didn't get to. I didn't even get far enough for a checkpoint. Okay, route 2. I didn't barely use these at all. Maybe shield would be good for getting through. Maybe double shield, since the main hazard that I'm coming across are the environmental obstacles that just cause me damage all the time. If the shield can get me through those, that'll be a real boon, actually. Right, let's go. Looking pretty similar so far. Let's try it out. Yes, the force field indeed protected me from those traffic stoppers. Nice. But I'm also kind of memorized where some of them are, which lets me jump over them. Oh! Yeah, I'm kind of getting a hang of the controls, but we're in a different zone now. Oh, okay. With different hazards. This time it's robots shooting us off to the side. And saw blades. Lovely. Shield? Yeah, why not? Why not have shields all the time? Although, yeah, they do take a while to recharge. We're still at half health though, which is nice. Oops. The jump isn't very long. I think you can hold it to go a bit longer, but it does wear out after a little while anyway. I shouldn't have stayed in that lane where the ship was shooting. Silly me. Are we back at the start? Yeah, I think we are. Oh well. I think I'll end it there. So thanks for joining me. This has been really cool. Space Harrier, like I said, it was so important and influential, but there's not too many games like it that have a heroine, and I've picked out the ones that did to show them off: Alantia, Neural Gear, Olmang Paradise, and Xenocider, as well as showing the work of a very important and influential woman in the Japanese games industry, Kazuko Shibuya, for 3D WorldRunner at the start. If you missed that, it'll all be on YouTube. Okay, so yeah, thanks for joining me. I had a great time. Next week is Transgender Day Visibility, and I have something interesting lined up for that, which might be fun to look at. So until then, I'll see you and have a nice time. Bye. Be good to yourself and others.